What is up, social media experts, SEO pros, digital marketers, funnel hackers, whatever you guys call yourselves out there, digital entrepreneurs? What is up? What's happening? I want to talk to you guys today about simplifying your SEO. This is something I think can help tons of people. And I do realize that my followers and my channel, my Facebook here is kind of a mix of people who are beginning and just getting started with SEO, as well as a handful of other agencies and SEO professionals. So if that's you, if you're a professional and you're an agency and you don't need to simplify your SEO, then this is not for you. But if you ever feel overwhelmed by trying to learn everything there is to learn about SEO, or you're having trouble getting your websites to rank and you don't know what tools to use or what metrics to focus on or what you got to do to get the needle moving and to get your websites ranking in Google, I just want to share with you guys a little bit of my strategy. And I keep my SEO extremely simple, like stupid simple. And that's what I'm going to talk about with you guys here today. So I get a lot of people asking me what kind of tools I use for my SEO, as well as recently I've been getting emails from companies asking me to try out, and we all know that means promote their tool. So I want to come on here and talk to you guys about the tools I use and the tools I don't use. And I catch a lot of flack for this. People make fun of me for this a good bit, but I don't really use many tools when it comes to doing SEO. There's two tools that I use the most, my two main tools, and number one is Google, just Google itself, and the second is my brain and my eyeballs, and that's where I do the majority of my SEO. So there are some tools that I think do help, and then there's some other tools that are okay, I guess, depending on what you're doing. So I said Google is the main tool I use, so I'll elaborate on what I mean by that. Obviously, the first thing I mean is just the search engine itself here, and specifically the suggested terms. So say, like I've used the optometry niche a bunch before, so I'll stick with that. So say I wanted to rank for an optician in New York City. I would just start by typing this in, optician, NYC, and then right here Google tells you what the most commonly searched terms are, because the stuff that pops up here is what people have recently typed when they search that, and that's pretty obvious to anybody who's been in the SEO game for a while. But I know there's a lot of people who are paying for tools to like get the keywords they need to target, and a lot of times it's really obvious. So and what do I mean by that? Well, there's optician New York City. Someone might be searching for the best optician in New York City, and again, if you just come in here and type variations, you can see the type of stuff people search for. And so you could spend your time using a tool to compare best eye doctor New York versus best opticians in New York City and see which one of those is going to be better to target, and then calculate how many times you want to use it on your page. Or you can do what I do and just keep it incredibly simple, just like stupid simple, and I will search one of these phrases, best opticians in New York City, and then I'll come and just look at these results that are here. That's what I say with my eyes and my brain. I'll click on this result, I'll look at it. The first thing I see here, okay, this place has a ton of location pages up here, so they're probably ranking in a lot of these different cities. So, you know, that's one thing I'm going to keep in mind when I go to design my optician site. I'm going to want to have locations on it, and if I'm targeting New York, I personally wouldn't have all these other faraway locations on you know, the page here. I don't know if you guys can see this URL, but this is opticians in New York. So to me, this is taken away from their relevance, having all these other locations up here. Maybe not, but that's just my initial guess, right? And so then I'll scroll down. They have a nice looking image, some text, some keywords. We have some links. I'll hover over these links and look down at the bottom and see exactly where this website is linking out to, at least the links that I can see. And I'll just compare. I'll go back and just spend some time looking at this. And for me, this type of stuff has been has allowed me to make the kind of jumps in the ranks that I want to make, just by using creativity and seeing literally what kind of content is there. I know like people make fun of content. Some people think it's all about links. Some people think it's all about content. The way I see it, and the way Google explains it themselves, is there's over 200 factors that affect the ranking of your website or a specific property on the internet. So there's all kinds of ways to do SEO. Sure, you can do SEO using only links. You can also do SEO using only keywords or only social media or only videos. But the best way, and from my experience, is to kind of use all of the methods that work, right? So that's why I say I don't use a lot of tools, because it's just faster for me to come through and look at these different, that's another Yelp, I don't know why I'm clicking on that again, but to come through and just look at the websites, and it's much faster and much cheaper than a lot of the tools. So that's another reason I don't rely on tools too much, is because they're expensive. And another reason, so here I'm just taking another look at this site, and I'll look for things like the H1 title, and then see, you know, if they have H2 titles, if these are links, which it looks like they are. Check out the different pages on their site and that kind of stuff, and that's given me I mean, I can see with my own eyes what keywords they're using. I don't need necessarily a list. Now if you're getting into bigger websites, if you're working with brands that have like hundreds of pages on their website, then you probably need a tool for that. So I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, for me, I've mostly worked with smaller businesses. It started out with friends, helping friends with their websites, then helping friends of friends, then helping random people on social media who have small businesses. So I haven't really dealt with any like super large websites. It's usually like exactly like this, you know, 5 to 30 pages or so. And it's pretty easy to just scroll through a page and see what words are on it. I don't need like some complex formula to show me like what a page is ranking for. It's pretty obvious when you look at, you know, you compare the suggested terms, what you typed up here, to the words that are on the page, the content that's on the page, if the images are relevant, if the videos are relevant. So that's the first way I use Google. And then when I say I use Google, I mean I use all of it. I use incognito mode to check my results, and you can use a guest window too. That's what I'm doing here. This is a guest window. It won't, I don't know if it takes out all of your data, but seems to provide pretty good results for just checking what I'm working on. And with that said, I also use a VPS, so I can vary my location and check results from other parts of the world. But if you're just getting started, a VPS might not even be necessary. You could just use a guest account or incognito mode. And so like another word I targeted, and I was happy to see I finally got #1 for, is Trusted Optician NYC. And here's my website in the first position at the top for that term, and with my face on it. Now granted, this is a super low competition. It's only 238,000 results, but I mean, New York City is the biggest city in America, obviously, and to be able to rank #1 for a doctor when I'm not a doctor and I don't have a client who's a doctor. I just made the website for an example. Somebody hit me up and they said, you know, hey, I'm looking for help with SEO for my optometry office, and they were like, can you help me with that? And I said sure, and I basically showed them what I do and designed a website. And they, like many clients, were like, you know what, we think we'll just do what you told us on our own. And that's what they chose to do. So that was actually a client here in Baltimore, and I still have that website as well. But I figured since I made this demo site in Baltimore, I figured I would clone it, change the words a little bit, and see if it would rank in another city. And here it has in New York. So eventually I'll get around to calling up different places and trying to sell them these websites I'm working on, but really they've just been practiced and used as an example. So that's I use suggested terms, I use incognito and guest mode, and then there's a few other Google products that I use for my SEO, and that is Search Console and Analytics. Pretty self-explanatory. Anybody who's in SEO at all uses both of those tools, I'm sure, or something that replaces them. But you know what, they're free, and they're operated by Google, who is the same company that is you know, categorizing and ranking websites. So in my opinion, that's one of the best metrics, or you know, things to quantify, is Google's own opinion. So that's why I use Search Console and Analytics. And then I pretty much use all of the Google products. You know, I use YouTube obviously super heavily, and I have found that thanks to how powerful YouTube has become for SEO, especially recently, like in the past I don't know, year maybe, since video has really been taken off since this whole Corona thing and everybody working from home and doing school from home. YouTube it's given me insane results to the point where it's one of my main tools. And aside from just building an audience and creating content and going live like I'm doing now, it's great for SEO because those keywords, like, you should know that YouTube is owned by Google, so obviously YouTube videos can pop up in search results organically. And I see a question from Pablo Mendoza: how do you rank groove pages? I rank groove pages the same way that I rank any other website, the same way I rank my websites that are on WordPress, and I've done the same with Wix. I haven't got nearly the same results with Wix. I found that they have a little bit of page bloat. But anyway, to answer your question, how do I rank groove pages? Proper on-page optimization, or at least close. It doesn't have to be perfect, but what I mean by that is you want to start at the very top of the page with your URL, and pick a URL that is relevant to what you're doing. It either has keywords in it or it has a location, and then just move down the page. Beneath the URL is going to be your menu, and you want to make sure that everything on your page is relevant to what you're doing. And I have tons more details about that. I actually have an SEO training for beginners that was built in Groove Pages, 100% in Groove Pages. The landing page was built in Groove Pages, the membership itself, and the payment processing and all of that. So if you want to check it out, you can get the first 3 lessons free, and it's howtorank.com, how and then the number 2 rank.com. You can check it out, get the first 3 lessons free, and it's $97 one-time payment. If you want the full course, if you want to call it that, it's a 7-day training, and you get 1 lesson per day. The first 3, the free ones, are pretty short, about 15 minutes, but the reason you get 1 per day is it will allow you to repeat my process. So like I said, the first 3 lessons are about 15 minutes, and then once you get into the paid lessons, they're a little longer, up to I think about an hour and a half. And the reason you get 1 per day is so you can literally go, you watch the video, show you what I do and explain it, and then you go do it on your own. That way when you get to the next day of the training, you are on course to complete it and start the process of ranking your website. So obviously your website, regardless of whether it's Groove Pages or whatever, is in almost all cases not going to rank very highly by the 7th day. The training is 1 week long, but it's trying to give you the foundation to a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, really start having your stuff show up in search results, not just for 1 or 2 terms, but a lot of terms. And so that's what I mean when I say I keep things simple. I don't use a lot of paid tools. I just use my eyes and my creativity, and I compare. It really, for me, it boils down to, this is another thing, another concept a lot of professional SEOs make fun of, and that's listening to Google. And it's a double-edged sword, right? Because Google comes out with these updates, and they're always making announcements about what it is they measure and how their algorithm works. And from what I've found, 90% of people that I talk to are taking it way too technical, right? Looking into all of these page speed insights and number of backlinks and how many times you use a specific word on your page, and all that is relevant, right? I'm not knocking any of that. That's, the more you know about something, the better. All I'm saying is that for beginners, when I was using, I've tried, I'm not going to name them, but I've tried a bunch of different tools, some of the higher end ones, and it just really took up more of my time trying to understand the data and correlate it all and look at the different information it was providing me than it took to just, if I had an idea and I was wondering which of these 3 things would work, to just create all 3 of those pages and see and test which one works better. So that's my style of SEO. I like to just go crazy and test as many things as possible, and as soon as one works, I stick with that, I go with that. And that's what got me into using YouTube so heavily. Once I figured out that I could rank videos on YouTube, and not just on YouTube, but on the first page of Google search results, like that. And I'm not kidding you guys, like that. I did a video the other day how I ranked #1 for the best looking man in Baltimore, and obviously it's a total joke and it's not a very competitive term, but I chose that specifically to show you that, hey, especially if you're a local business, if you're a small business, if you're in the middle of nowhere, or if you have a product that there's not a ton of competition for, you can absolutely get on the first page of Google in 10 minutes. It's not a joke, people. It's not, I mean, like, I see so many SEO agencies online, and it's usually the ones running ads. You know what I'm talking about. They're not ranking organically. They're running an ad for their SEO service that say, you know, in their disclaimer, it's like, results may take 2 or 3 months. I'm like, what are you talking about? For tons of local businesses, you can show up later today with a YouTube video. Now, of course, that's not going to be your website. That's just a YouTube video. But if you're creative and you use that YouTube video to your advantage, you share it on social media, you post it in blogs, you embed it on your website, and maybe you're even a dirty dog and drive a little bit of CTR, click-through rate manipulation to it, you can do some crazy stuff with YouTube. So the same goes for Google My Business too, and a big shout out to William Jones. He's got a group, Google My Business group. Go check it out. He's also got a weekly class that he does. Super valuable stuff in there for Google My Business. That's his specialty. I have a Google My Business. I play with it, and it's powerful stuff too, but I just enjoy YouTube, and so that's kind of what I focus on. So with that said, there are 2 tools that I do use fairly frequently, but and I'll show those to you guys real quick. And I know for sure I'm going to get made fun of for showing you guys one of these, but it is what it is. I like it. So the first one I use is pretty popular. It's Ahrefs backlink checker, and it's free. You just search Ahrefs backlink checker, and this is what I use to see either to check my own backlinks or to check backlinks to a competitor's website. And you guys have heard me say plenty of times before, I don't really bother with backlinks. I pay attention to them and I want them, but I don't spend a lot of time creating them. I generally focus my strategy on things I think are going to get me backlinks automatically, and that is, first of all, creating content that people want to see. But that's not the end of it, right? A lot of people make fun of this thing, oh, it's just content, and they say that's BS. Okay, because that's not the end of it. Yes, you need the content, but then you need to wisely distribute that content. And so that could mean buying a backlink. If, say, that backlink is $100 and it's on a high-profile website that people actually look at and they're going to click your link, then yeah, that's a great investment. But if you're going on Fiverr and giving some guy on the other side of the world $10 to make you links from God knows where in who knows what language from a website that nobody even knows what it's about, or even worse, it's spammy, then you've wasted your time, you've wasted your money, and that's why I don't really mess with too many tools. But like I said, I use this one here. So we could just put actually the site we were just looking at, opticiannyc.com, and you can see what kind of backlinks I have going to this. And this is ranking for, like I said, #1 for Trusted Optician NYC. It's also on the first page for Best Optician New York or NYC, and I think Top Optician NYC. A handful of keywords that you know, only spent a day or two working on that website. It's nothing super fancy. So anyways, we'll go through the CAPTCHA here, and you can take a look at the backlinks to this website. A whopping total of 2 backlinks with a domain rating of 3.7, and it's ranking #1 in New York City for optician. So that's what I mean when I say simplify your SEO. Obviously, this is not for those of you guys running agencies and with a bunch of clients. You don't need to simplify your SEO. You're probably already doing a good job, and if anything, you want to crank it up and get even more technical. So I'm definitely not knocking the use of the tools. I'm just saying that for a lot of people getting started, I see so many people just obsessing over which tool they need, which one they have to pay for, which is the most affordable. And I'm sitting here telling you, I use Google, I use YouTube, and I use my brain 95% of the time, and it gets me crazy results. So yeah, I mean, I would love to like take a look. If I was with somebody who had access to the tool, I'd absolutely check out like the finer details. But overall, the way I see tons of people using these tools, and especially the I guess less experienced SEOs, use these tools because they create nice, fancy, beautiful reports that they give to their clients. But a lot of times, and this is just my opinion, I'm speculating, but a lot of times from what I've seen, those fancy reports are a nice way of giving the client excuses. Because the clients I work with, they look on when they check my work, they look on Google. They're searching for their business on Google, and when they find it on the front page, that's what makes them happy. If I can send them as many documents as I want with all kinds of green spots on it and whatever numbers that they want to see, but if their phone's not ringing, if they don't see their website on the first page of Google, it doesn't mean anything to them. So I see just a lot of people getting caught up with all this technical stuff, and in my opinion, Google is just making it stupid easy for you. As the algorithms get better and better at identifying content, and an example of that is on YouTube. I don't know how recently, but I think in the past year or so, they just released automatic closed captioning. So every time I upload a video, Google closed captions it for me, and I noticed that a long time before they even announced it that was happening. And there's a lot of similar things happening too. Like if you use if your video is about a specific location, for example, and you use footage or images from that location, Google can identify that. And a lot of people are missing this stuff. Even a lot of people who are super technical with what words they use and the word count on their page, they'll have the word count 100% good, but then like they have the stockiest of stock images, and they wonder why some other site is getting more traffic than them. And that's not everybody. There's people doing crazy stuff with links, and not just links, keywords. Like I said, there's over 200 and something factors that affect the way your website ranks, and so there's tons of different combinations of this stuff that you could put together. But from my experience using Google's own tools, YouTube and your Google My Business, and if you want to get fancy and do some more black hat side of stuff, you could start putting links in Google Docs and Google Sheets and then embedding those around different places on the internet, just like you do your videos. So Google gives you a ton of products that are all synced together that you can use to your advantage to show up on their own platform, Google. So that's why I don't use a ton of external tools. Oh yeah, I did tell you guys there was one more tool I use, and I'm gonna get made fun of for this, so I'm happy to share this with you. But I do in fact sometimes like to use, that's right, Neil Patel's Uber Suggest. And I hear so many people making fun of this guy. I don't know why. He's not my favorite SEO out there or anything, and I have seen him peddle quite a number of questionable courses and materials. But hey, it's hard for me to hold that against somebody, right? When somebody who's good at selling, somebody who has a massive audience, somebody who's established a reputation for themselves, that starts to make me sound like I'm just jealous if I'm going to talk crap on the guy. So yeah, I like his keyword tool. It's definitely not the best one out there, but considering you can use it a couple times a day for free, this is where I come if I'm just having a total brain fart, or if I've got all the keywords I think I can think of, I'll come and check my competitors' websites and just grab the keywords that I'm missing. So yeah, those are the two tools that I use the most. Ahrefs Backlink Checker and Neil Patel's Uber Suggest. I know people are going to laugh at that, but it's simple, it's easy, I like it, and like I said, I'm by no means saying it's the best out there. It's just, I think, one of the first ones I found a long time ago, and I've never had a problem with it. And like I said, I don't really rely too heavily on the tools. It's more for me to just kind of check the progress as I go, rather than to get any like super actionable information. So that's about it. I hope this helped you simplify your SEO if you're struggling or you're just getting started. I hope these tips helped. If they did, you could do me a huge favor by hitting a thumbs up on the video, and that's not only doing me a favor, that's going to do anybody else who's having trouble with their SEO a favor, because it's going to expand my reach, show my video to more people who hopefully it can help. And if not, hey, feel free to laugh at me or whatever it is you want to do. So that's about it. If you want to get my full process from start to finish, like I said, it's howtorank.com. If you want one of these SEO expert hoodies with my crazy eyeball shooting lightning logo, that is at store.howtorank.com. And buying this hoodie will also get you half off my SEO training, which is only $97 to begin with, right? I'm not charging a crazy amount, and it's geared for beginners, so it'll pretty much just be more of what I've been talking about here, but in more detail and in a specific order with step-by-step instructions for you to follow along. And then if you're not already a GrooveFunnels user, I also show you how to use GrooveFunnels to get 3 free websites to practice all these techniques I'm showing you with. And I'll just go ahead and say that's another super unpopular thing when it comes to SEOs. Most of the SEOs that I talk to recommend WordPress, and I mean, I understand why. I've used WordPress a bunch. I have a couple websites on WordPress, but the reason I like GrooveFunnels, and it's the same reason I've liked a lot of the other quick builders, is because SEO isn't the end-all be-all for me. It's one of the main ways I get my traffic, right? As a beginner and as someone with not a huge budget to spend on marketing, it's how I get the majority of my traffic. But I'm also interested in things like user experience, right? Which sure, you can make you might be able to make a faster website on WordPress, but at the end of the day, using these builders, especially GrooveFunnels, allows me to incorporate so many different aspects into my marketing beyond just websites. Like, the website is just one small part of online marketing. Then you've got your email integrations and follow-ups. You've got your products, where you actually deliver your products and take payment. You might have membership sites, and like whether you use WordPress or ClickFunnels or Shopify or Wix or whatever, with all of these website builders, you have to get all these different integrations, and you have to pay for them separately, and you have to piecemeal them together and make sure they all work right. And that's exactly why I like GrooveFunnels, because it saves me tons of time. If I want a membership, boom, I click. Now I have a membership built in, and if I want, to add a product, it's a couple clicks. I can build an affiliate program on my product, again, with a couple clicks. And all of that is tracked, so I can pay my affiliates out with, again, another couple clicks, and no extra subscriptions, no extra payments. Like I said, you get started free with 3 free websites. So, yeah, that's all inside the training. And the training is still, even if you don't use GrooveFunnels and you never plan on it, it's still good for whatever. You can follow the training with any website builder, essentially, as long as they let you edit the metadata and adjust things like your H1 and H2 titles and open graph data and stuff like that. As long as you can edit the back-end SEO stuff of your website, then in my opinion, it doesn't really matter which builder you use. Like I said, some are better than others for certain things. Like if you're all about speed, then WordPress is probably the way to go, although my Groove Pages sites seem to do okay. And that's another thing. When I say don't worry too much about the technical stuff, I just listen to the overall message that Google has to say when they make an announcement. For example, one of the things they've been focused on, at least from my understanding, is user experience. And I take that as at face value. I take that to mean, what does Google want to do? They want to provide searchers with the answers to their questions as fast and as conveniently as possible. So to me, a good user experience means when someone types a phrase into Google, the website that pops up first should have the information that person is most searching for. So if I'm able to look at the current results and look at each site that's on the first page and realize they're all missing one thing, and then I create a website that has all the information that's there plus the one thing that's missing, usually that's enough to get your website to outrank other websites. And if it's not, that's when you can start looking into links. You could start looking into other methods. But that's basically the gist of my strategy. I hope this helps simplify things for you guys, and I can't wait to see your websites at the top of Google. So take care, everybody, and until next time,